Welcome to all of you deplorables.
Congressman-elect George Santos admitting that he lied about several key details in his experience and biography. In an interview with the New York Post, Santos confessed to what he called embellishing his resume.
It starts with him lying about his credentials, bare-faced lies about his academic record.
I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my
class to have a full academic scholarship. Went back to law school and, in fact, ended up in the top half of my class.
Every single thing he said there was an utter lie. And way back then, we actually had a media that would do its job, and they caught him red-handed, and they called him out.
I've done some dumb things, and I'll do dumb things again.
Joe Biden is a dummy.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I've been dumb.
With the attention of the whole country on George Santos, it's pathological on a level none of us have ever experienced before.
Joseph Biden admitted today that he committed plagiarism when he was in law school.
He quoted 5 pages of someone else's work without proper citation.
It's like if I came out here and told you I was a labradoodle, and then you were like, oh, you're not a labradoodle, and I was like, woof.
Santos was also accused of lying about his family history, saying on his campaign website that his mother was Jewish and his grandparents escaped the Nazis during World War II.
Biden having to pull his quote-unquote presidential campaign in 1987. Why? Because he stole lock, stock, and barrel whole sections of the then British Labour leader's speech and turned them into his own speech about growing up as a kid in Scranton. He had to cancel his presidential campaign. He doesn't learn. He lies to this very day.
John Howman, have we reached a new low?
Politics littered with examples of lying liars who lie, and many who've lied about their resumes. The thing is, at least they usually do get caught. Eventually, they do get caught. So it's like people who are scared that, like, hey, you know, if I had this problem in my past, maybe I shouldn't get into politics because someone will find out. They probably will. And that's what this is what it looks like. You get made into a laughingstock if you decide to make up things whole cloth.
The great honor of being arrested with our UN ambassador on the streets of Soweto trying to get to see him on Robben's Island. I came back from South Africa trying to see Nelson Mandela and getting arrested for trying to see him on Robben's Island. He was in prison.
But when I said arrested, I meant I was not able to move. Cops, upper counters would not let me go with them, made me stay where I was. I guess I wasn't arrested. I was stopped. I was not able to move where I wanted to go.
What I'd love to have is a crawler at the bottom of the screen, a fact checker.
You get made into a laughingstock if you decide to make up things whole cloth.
I should have said, to paraphrase Neil Kinnock, it's the only time I didn't, and all the times I've ever used it.
But CBS News found a tape of a second instance.
It reappeared in the New York Times with a new charge, that Biden had appropriated a famous litany from the late Robert Kennedy.
Cannot measure the health of our children.
The health of our children.
The quality of our education.
The quality of their education.
Biden gave Kennedy no credit. He has also quoted or paraphrased John Kennedy, Hubert Humphrey, and British Labour Party leader Neil Kinnock, all without credit.
This gentleman will be the butt of jokes for the rest of his life, and rightly so.
He lied to voters, according to the New York Times, quoting aides of Biden's, about having marched in the civil rights movement.
When I marched in the civil rights movement, I marched with tens of thousands of others to change attitudes.
More than once, advisors had gently reminded Mr. Biden of the problem with this formulation. He had not actually marched during the civil rights movement, and more than once, Mr. Biden assured them that he understood. That is really, really weird.
Does point out a problem, a challenge for Joe Biden. Has he fixed that issue?
When I was about the age of the guy standing over there, I got involved in the civil rights movement.
Advisors had gently reminded Mr. Biden he had not actually marched during the civil rights movement.
And I realized I lived in a neighborhood where I'd turn on the television and I'd see and listen to Dr. King and others, but I didn't know any black people. No, I really didn't. You didn't know any white people either.
What I'd love to have is a crawler at the bottom of the screen, a fact checker.
And that's what this is what it looks like. You get made into a laughing stock if you decide to make up things whole cloth.
The editorial board of the New York Daily News is calling for Santos to step aside. Not that he should take any such oath. If Santos has any shred of decency, he'll step aside now that his con has been exposed, even as some of his voters are standing behind him.
Well, it looks like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez could be in hot water. The House Ethics Committee released a statement confirming they are investigating the Democrat.
You can't go around talking about people like they're vermin. You can't inflict this kind of policy on Americans and not pay a political price. We have a great chance to inflict one on him and his party in November. We, I mean, the Democratic Party does. I'm not part of the Democratic Party. We, I mean, the Democratic Party does. I'm not part of the Democratic Party. This is a test of Joe Biden, and there's no doubt Vladimir Putin would rather see Donald Trump back in the White House in 2024 than Joe Biden be there. What is the Republican Party? It's now its basest part of its base, and the basest part of its base is animated by hate. And it's very hard to make a distinction between one kind of hate and another kind of hate. I'm not part of the Democratic Party. And the only thing that runs the GOP, I'm not part of the Democratic Party, only thing that runs the GOP is hate. It's now a big, giant hate machine. I'm not part of the Democratic Party. That's all it is, a big, ugly hate machine.
And I don't think it's actually an overstatement to say that Donald Trump there are tens of thousands of people who will die in the country, or some of them have already died, more are still going to die because of Donald Trump's incompetence and lack of leadership.
We know the president is not responsible for this. He didn't cause Omicron, and they're dealing with this pandemic, which is metastasizing and mutating every minute that it's on planet Earth.
More are still going to die because of Donald Trump's incompetence and lack of leadership.
We know the president is not responsible for this. He didn't cause Omicron, and
the response, what Donald Trump did, and he directed his government to do in that period, was woefully inadequate to the task of getting ready for this virus, which was about to hit the country. And yet the reaction was incompetent and inadequate.
It's also the case that we know that presidents get blamed for things that they don't deserve to get blamed for. They get praised for things they don't deserve to get praised for. It's just how politics works. This is not a great moment for them. They've done, in some ways, a good job in this past year on this, and yet the sense of the unending pandemic is a political drag on Joe Biden.
Let's just get one thing clear. There's been more deaths from this pandemic under President Biden than under President Trump. And remember, President Trump is the one that put forth Operation Warp Speed with our pharmaceutical industry to get a vaccine to market incredibly quick. In fact, record-breaking time. So again, more deaths under President Biden than President Trump. So who is really ignoring the pandemic?
Hearing from David Plouffe and others, don't take your eyes off of Texas.
But tonight, I'm going to be watching Texas.
But I think Texas looks really interesting.
So I think very much on the basis of everything I know right now that Texas could very well go blue.
President Trump has a potential real problem in Texas. It really is very much in play.
That is a message that the Biden campaign sent out to several people quietly last night. Keep an eye on Texas.
Some senior Democratic strategists have even said, keep an eye on Texas.
But I will watch Texas.
President Donald Trump was able to secure Texas as a Republican state here, 46-52 here. He was able to get 1 million more votes than he did in 2016 this time around, and that's coming near the border here. He really secured the Latino vote.